God floods the earth, sparing Noah, his family, and 2 of every animal on board his ark.
Now, an international team of researchers have found new evidence that a famous formation in Turkey could be the site of the ancient Bethel.
Before he died, archaeologist Ron Wyatt whispered of a discovery so shocking it could rewrite the story of creation itself. He claimed to have seen something buried deep in the mountains, something ancient, forbidden, and terrifyingly real. Those who heard his final words say he looked haunted, as if he had glimpsed a truth mankind was never meant to know. What did Ron Wyatt really uncover before he was silenced forever? Stay with us to know the chilling details. The man who found God's secrets. Ron Wyatt was not your typical archaeologist. Born in 1933 in the United States, he worked as a nurse anesthetist, a profession far removed from dusty excavation sites and ancient ruins. Yet, Wyatt believed he had been given a mission far greater than any medical career could offer. He felt divinely appointed to uncover the physical proofs of stories long told in the Bible. What set Wyatt apart was not formal training or academic credentials, but a deep, personal conviction. He often said that visions, dreams, and supernatural guidance directed his discoveries. This approach, however unconventional, became his philosophy. Wyatt typically worked alone or with a small group of trusted assistants. He did not follow the standard practices of archaeology, and his excavations often lacked documentation, peer review, and oversight. Despite this, Wyatt remained confident in his work, convinced that the evidence he uncovered would confirm biblical events beyond doubt. Wyatt made a series of bold claims that drew both fascination and skepticism. He reported discovering Noah's Ark, identifying Mount Sinai, and uncovering the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah, along with preserved brimstone stones. Perhaps his most astonishing assertion was the location of the Ark of the Covenant beneath the crucifixion site in Jerusalem. According to Wyatt, the blood of Christ was preserved on the mercy seat of the ark, offering what he believed to be the ultimate confirmation of the biblical narrative. These revelations divided the world. Many Christian groups embraced Wyatt's findings with awe, seeing them as miraculous confirmations of their faith. Others, including scholars, archaeologists, and religious authorities, expressed serious concerns. Critics pointed to the lack of verifiable evidence, the absence of proper archaeological methods, and inconsistencies in documentation. Wyatt's life and work were a constant battle between faith and skepticism. To believers, he was a man chosen by God to reveal long-hidden truths. To critics, he was a controversial figure whose methods and conclusions could not be trusted. The debates surrounding his discoveries became so intense that Wyatt himself suggested that there was more than mere doubt at play. He claimed that a centuries-old conspiracy had worked to hide the Ark of the Covenant and other sacred artifacts from human discovery. This raises a chilling question. What if the greatest enemy of truth was not simply disbelief, but an active effort to keep it hidden? Wyatt's stories suggest that the search for divine secrets is as much a struggle against human forces as it is a journey of faith. Satan's war to hide the Ark. The search for Noah's Ark was far from easy. Mountains of Ararat are not forgiving, and the ice-covered slopes seemed impossible to navigate. Yet Wyatt pressed on, driven by a deep sense of divine purpose. Every false lead, mistaken claim, or fraudulent fragment of wood only strengthened his determination. He believed that these obstacles were not accidental, but part of a spiritual battle over one of the Bible's most sacred treasures. Wyatt claimed his breakthrough came in the late 1970s. Guided by visions and a combination of intuition and divine insight, he identified a specific location high on Mount Ararat. Using photographs, local legends, and careful observation of the mountain's natural formations, Wyatt asserted that he had finally found physical evidence of the Ark. He described the discovery as overwhelming, a confirmation that years of struggle, ridicule, and danger had been worth every step. The Ark, he said, was buried beneath layers of ice and stone, perfectly preserved, a living testament to the story told in Scripture. But Wyatt's discoveries were only the beginning of a much larger battle. He believed that Satan and forces of evil were determined to hide the Ark from humanity. According to Wyatt, false sightings, competing claims, and fake Ark wood fragments were all deliberately spread to confuse and mislead seekers. Governments, scientists, and even religious institutions, he insisted, were complicit, whether knowingly or through fear, in keeping the truth hidden. For Wyatt, The stakes were enormous. If the Ark and other sacred artifacts were verified, it would validate biblical literalism, challenge secular interpretations of history, and expose attempts to rewrite the past. Wyatt described the campaign of suppression in vivid detail. Each mistaken Ark site, every contradictory report became a weapon in a war to obscure God's secrets. He claimed that these distractions were designed to erode faith, sow doubt, and prevent humanity from recognizing the Ark's true resting place. In Wyatt's view, the spiritual battle over the Ark mirrored the struggle between truth and deception itself. For Ron Wyatt, the search for Noah's Ark was about more than discovery. It was a test of faith, endurance, and courage. He warned that revealing the Ark would bring both persecution and clarity, shaking the foundations of disbelief. Wyatt believed that the secrets of God were hidden in plain sight, awaiting the brave and faithful to uncover them, even in the face of relentless spiritual resistance. Beneath the garden tomb, Ron Wyatt's quest for God's secrets did not end with the mountains of Ararat. He turned his attention to Jerusalem, convinced that one of the Bible's most sacred treasures, the Ark of the Covenant, lay hidden beneath the very site of Christ's crucifixion. Wyatt claimed that the Ark rested in a secret chamber under Gordon's Calvary, near what is now known as the Garden Tomb. According to his reports, the cross on which Jesus was crucified stood directly above this hidden chamber, creating a direct connection between the events of the crucifixion and the sacred artifacts below. Wyatt described a complex underground system sometimes called Jeremiah's Grotto, or the Ark Chamber. Within this chamber, he reported several remarkable physical features. A carved hole in the limestone rock, he said, marked where the cross had been placed. A crack, or fissure, extended from this hole downward into the chamber. Wyatt believed this fissure was formed by the earthquake at the moment of Jesus' death, just as Matthew chapter 27 verse 51 describes. He claimed that blood and water from Christ's side flowed down through this crack, ultimately reaching the chamber below. On the mercy seat of the Ark and inside the fissure, Wyatt said he found a dried black substance, which he identified as the blood of Christ. Beyond the Ark itself, Wyatt claimed to have discovered other sacred artifacts stored in the chamber. Each detail, he insisted, confirmed the biblical narrative and tied the crucifixion directly to the most sacred relics of the Hebrew faith. Yet these claims have been met with intense skepticism. No independent archaeological authority, including the Israel Antiquities Authority, has verified Wyatt's identification of the cross hole or the chamber beneath it. Attempts to access or excavate the chamber have repeatedly failed or been blocked. Teams associated with Wyatt reportedly returned to the site in 2005 and 2006, but found no artifacts, raising further questions. For him, the chamber beneath Gordon's Calvary was not just a resting place for ancient artifacts. It was a bridge between heaven and earth, a tangible proof of divine history hidden beneath layers of stone and secrecy. He suggested that what lay inside was far more significant than even the Ark itself. According to Wyatt, there was a substance within the chamber that could, if true, defy the very laws of science and biology, offering secrets that humanity had never imagined. Wyatt's story of the Garden Tomb chamber leaves more questions than answers. Was it a hidden vault of biblical treasures, or a vision shaped by faith and imagination? And if the discoveries were real, what truths about history, faith, and even science might be waiting beneath the limestone floors of Jerusalem? The blood that shouldn't be alive. Ron Wyatt's discoveries beneath the Garden Tomb did not stop at the Ark of the Covenant or the sacred artifacts stored with it. He made an even more extraordinary claim that the blood of Christ had been preserved on the mercy seat of the Ark and that it was still, in some sense, alive. According to Wyatt, a dried black substance found on the top lid of the Ark was taken to a laboratory in Jerusalem for testing. What happened next, he said, defied all conventional understanding of biology. Wyatt claimed that the lab technicians rehydrated the dried substance in saline, or a growth medium, for a period ranging from 24 to 72 hours. To their astonishment, he said, the cells began to divide under the microscope. Wyatt described the moment as miraculous. The technicians reportedly reacted with shock and awe. Some wept, others asked whose blood it was. When Wyatt revealed it was the blood of the Messiah, the emotions in the lab intensified. He insisted that these reactions were not exaggeration, but a testimony to the profound nature of the discovery. Even more remarkable were the laboratory results Wyatt described. He claimed that each cell contained 24 chromosomes, 23 from Mary, the human mother, and a single Y chromosome from a divine father. In other words, Wyatt said, the blood belonged to Jesus, combining human and divine origin. In human biology, blood cells typically have 46 chromosomes arranged in 23 pairs. To find only 24 chromosomes in each cell would, if true, challenge every known principle of genetics. Wyatt presented this as proof that the blood was not merely human, but miraculous, a direct link to the Son of God. Biologically, human blood cells cannot survive indefinitely outside the body, and dried blood stains degrade over time. Culturing white blood cells or other human cells requires living material, proper equipment, and carefully controlled conditions. Many scientists argue that it would be virtually impossible for dried blood to revive, divide, and show chromosomes in the way Wyatt described. Moreover, the name of the lab, the methods used, and the detailed reports were never disclosed publicly. No peer-reviewed studies have been published to corroborate the experiment, leaving the claims unverified and deeply controversial. Despite the skepticism, Wyatt insisted on the reality of what he saw. For him, the living blood was more than a scientific anomaly. It was a divine signature, a miracle preserved for centuries to testify to Christ's death, sacrifice, and resurrection. The blood connected the crucifixion to the ark itself, linking heaven and earth in a tangible, physical way. It became the centerpiece of his story, the evidence he believed could silence doubt and bring faith to those willing to see beyond what science currently understood. Wyatt's claim of the living blood marked a turning point in his narrative. It suggested that God's secrets were not only preserved, but guarded in ways beyond human comprehension. And if the blood itself was a sign, Wyatt claimed, there were even greater revelations waiting. Angels around the ark. When Ron Wyatt claimed to have entered the chamber beneath Jerusalem for the final time, he said something extraordinary had happened. The piles of debris that had once blocked his view were gone, as if moved by unseen hands. What lay before him, he said, took his breath away. The Ark of the Covenant, no longer hidden in shadow, but fully visible, glowing softly in the dim light. Surrounding it, he claimed, were 4 angels. According to Wyatt, these angels were not symbols or visions, but real, living beings. He described them as majestic and silent, standing at each corner of the ark. They did not speak much, but Wyatt said they guided his actions. He claimed that the angels instructed him on what he was allowed to do, what to record on film, and what must remain secret until a future appointed time. The encounter, he said, felt holy and overwhelming, unlike anything he had ever experienced. Wyatt believed the angel's message was clear. The discoveries within the chamber were not meant for the present world. Their purpose was prophetic, to be revealed when humanity was ready, when faith and truth would once again align. Until that appointed time, Wyatt said he was to keep certain details hidden. He claimed to have filmed parts of the chamber, but was told to withhold the footage until divine permission was given to release it. Inside the chamber, Wyatt reported seeing several sacred artifacts besides the ark itself. Among them were the tablets of the 10 Commandments, which he said were written on both sides in an ancient Proto-Aramaic script. He also claimed to see the golden table of showbread, the golden altar of incense, and the menorah, the 7-branched candlestick of the ancient temple. According to Wyatt, these relics had been preserved through millennia, untouched and uncorrupted, as if guarded for this very moment. He said the angels confirmed that these were authentic and instructed him not to remove them from their place. To Wyatt, the experience was proof that his life's work had divine backing. He saw himself not merely as an explorer, but as a witness to a sacred trust, someone chosen to protect knowledge that could change the world. The angel's presence, he believed, was a sign that God's covenant had not been forgotten, and that one day, these artifacts would testify to the truth of Scripture before all humankind. But Wyatt's claims didn't just stir faith, they ignited fierce debate, not only from secular scientists, but also within his own religious community. What would happen when the clash between faith, science, and authority came to a head? The clash between faith and science. When Ron Wyatt announced that he had discovered the Ark, the world was split between awe and outrage. What he described seemed to defy both reason and physics: blood that still contained life after centuries, angelic beings guarding sacred relics, and chambers that had remained untouched since biblical times. Yet as believers celebrated what they saw as divine proof, the scientific and archaeological community stepped in with hard questions and found no solid answers. Mainstream. Archaeologists quickly dismissed Wyatt's discoveries due to a lack of empirical evidence and official documentation. The Israel Antiquities Authority never recognized any of his excavation reports, stating that he had no official permits to dig beneath Jerusalem. Joe Zias, a former curator at the IAAA, openly criticized Wyatt, asserting that he was not a licensed archaeologist and that his supposed findings would have required access no private individual ever had. Several academic voices within the Christian community also expressed skepticism. Dr. David Merling, an archaeologist from Andrews University, reviewed Wyatt's claims, particularly those related to Noah's Ark and the Ark of the Covenant, and concluded that they lacked credible verification. Similarly, Dr. John Baumgartner, a geophysicist who once worked alongside Wyatt, later retracted his support, citing that the data did not align with any known geological or archaeological standards. Even respected biblical scholars such as William Shea distanced themselves, emphasizing that Wyatt's interpretations blurred the line between faith and scientific accountability. Meanwhile, brothers Russell and Colin Standish, in their book Holy Relics or Revelation, delivered one of the most thorough theological critiques, calling Wyatt's claims extraordinary without extraordinary evidence. Beyond the academic pushback, the Garden Tomb Association, which manages the property where Wyatt claimed to have found the Ark, formally denied that any biblical artifacts had ever been unearthed there. Scientific analysis further deepened the divide. Experts argued that blood after centuries could not contain viable white cells or intact chromosomes as Wyatt claimed. No lab reports, peer-reviewed publications, or chains of custody were ever presented, only testimonies and photographs that could not be authenticated. To some, Ron Wyatt was a visionary chosen to reveal sacred truths. To others, he became a cautionary tale of belief outpacing evidence. His discoveries challenged faith, science, and the very definition of truth itself. As Ron Wyatt grew older, his tone shifted from discovery to destiny, warning the world that the Ark must stay hidden until the appointed time when its revelation would shake both heaven and earth. Wyatt's final warning. In the final years of his life, Ron Wyatt no longer spoke as an explorer chasing evidence. He spoke as a man burdened with a divine secret. According to his own testimony, his discoveries beneath Jerusalem were not simply archaeological finds. They were sacred revelations that the world was not yet ready to receive. Wyatt claimed that the angels he encountered in the chamber of the Ark gave him explicit instructions. The time had not yet come to reveal the location of the Ark or its contents. The world, they said, would one day see the evidence, but only at a moment determined by God himself. Until then, Wyatt was to remain silent about the exact coordinates of the site. In his words, this discovery will come forth when the world needs it most, when truth must confront deception one final time. He believed that the discovery of the Ark and the preserved blood would not merely confirm Scripture, but shake global belief systems to their core. Wyatt warned that such a revelation could ignite chaos among both religious and secular authorities. He feared governments might seek to seize or suppress the evidence, while powerful religious groups could either distort its meaning or claim it for themselves. To Wyatt, the danger was spiritual as much as political. He said that unprepared hearts, those hardened by disbelief or corrupted by power, would fail to grasp the holiness of what had been uncovered. Thus, he often repeated that the world must be spiritually prepared before it can handle the truth. His decision to delay disclosure was not out of secrecy, he claimed, but out of obedience. He believed the Ark would be revealed during a period of global unrest, possibly connected to the end times, when humanity would face a final test of faith. At that point, he said, the unveiling would confirm divine authority beyond all scientific doubt. Wyatt envisioned that moment as both awe-inspiring and terrifying. He predicted that when the Ark and the blood are finally shown to the public, the event would trigger a massive spiritual awakening, forcing the world to confront what it had long denied. Believers would find their faith renewed, skeptics might crumble in disbelief, and the institutions built on partial truths could face their greatest reckoning. Yet, despite the boldness of his prophecies, Wyatt left this world with more questions than answers. No peer-reviewed evidence was ever published. No independent scientist, archaeologist, or institution confirmed his findings. Even so, a devoted following continues to uphold his legacy, waiting for the appointed time he promised would come. What do you think? Was Ron Wyatt a visionary guided by faith, or a man chasing miracles beyond proof? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below.